I definitely feel like if opioid addiction was talked about more, it would have a stronger effect on kids our age, that a lot of us tend to do these things knowing that they're wrong, but sometimes we just want to do it for the thrill of it or just to fit in.
I think that a lot of people think, this will never happen to us. I'm sure we talked to them some, but we didn't really make it, I think, a priority that we should have.
If you don't talk about it, then it's just like this big elephant in the room. And unfortunately, with social media and the way things are, kids learn about these things, whether we are teaching them about it or not. And I think just having a healthy conversation, why is it dangerous? What can happen if you experiment? We gotta smash the stigma.
Years ago, I thought someone that was addicted to drugs, a lot of tattoos.
Sketchy.
They were the bad kids.
Beard and mustache.
They made one wrong choice or they smoked a cigarette or something and now they're a junkie. That's kind of what I remember growing up with and being so afraid of that.
We imagine an addict as homeless or dirty or sleeping on the street or begging for money. But I think really it's oftentimes a lot more subtle than that.
Now I know better. You can have any kind of look as far as a person that is addicted to drugs. It can be attorneys, doctors.
Now it's like even the younger kids are getting addicted to it, and even the older people are getting addicted to it.
What does someone addicted to drugs look like? I would answer that question with me. It affects everyone. It doesn't matter what color you are, what religion you are, how old you are, how much money you have. Unfortunately, it's an equal opportunity destroyer.
I was a mom, I was a good person, I had values. And then the height of my addiction, none of that mattered. I lost my kids, I lost my career. That addiction is, you love your kids and you love your family, but that addiction is so much stronger.
I felt like I had a lot of judgment when I found out and I didn't know. And that I wish she had told me. Because I thought that, of course that couldn't happen to her. And I just didn't know that that was kind of what the face of it is too. It's like my friend who is so put together, so on top of her everything.
We have to make people feel comfortable with admitting that they have a problem. If we shun people or shame people for having an issue, then they're gonna just sweep it under the rug. Because we all struggle with something. So it's just talking to our kids about that or our friends.
What exactly are opioids?
There's all kinds of names. So Lortab,
Painkillers,
hydrocodone,
narcotics,
Like heroin,
Percocet,
Perks, get going,
oxycodone,
oxy,
Roxy,
Tabs.
fentanyl, morphine, Darvocet. I think sometimes we get prescribed something, right? And we're like, oh, my doctor gave it to me, it's safe.
They're good and bad.
I think there's valid reasons that someone would be taking an opioid.
I have taken OxyContin for my back injuries.
People on hospice, people in extreme pain, surgery.
But the bad thing is they're very addictive. And the sad part is most people rely on pills for their pain. They don't know how to manage it any other way.
I slipped and fell and broke my ankle and had to have 8 screws and a plate put in it. And that is where my opioid addiction started.
I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was in my early 20s.
It was friends, his age, and he had a couple of stepbrothers who also got into it at about the same time.
I worked with these doctors, for so long that, if I could tell them anything and they would just write me a prescription.
I started off just being prescribed, I think, Darvocet.
Chris had social anxiety. He was pretty introverted, and he had some tendencies toward depression.
I was getting prescriptions that didn't belong to me, buying them off the streets.
It progressed from a very, mild pain medicine to where I was taking more pain medication than my dad, who had 4th stage cancer at the time.
He was addicted to heroin for several years.
So in my own life, I was taking so many prescription meds that my body didn't really need to make its feel-good receptors anymore. And so when I stopped taking it or when I had to go without, I felt like I couldn't function. I felt sick, and in my head, I was constantly obsessing about it.
A lot of the patients that I dealt with had changed so that, even a stretch sensation, where I can tell it's a stretch sensation, to them it just hurt. A touch sensation, to them it just hurt. And their bodies just became very, very sensitive to any type of sensation, and their brain just translated as, ouch, that hurts.
A lot of what happens when we try to stop taking opioids is we have this internal battle where our body really needs it. It doesn't really, but our brain is telling us, you have to have this. You can't go to work. You can't clean your house. I used to feel like I had to take it in the morning to be able to get out of bed.
He was in treatment again when he died, and he was doing really well. He had been in there for about 3 months, and he was a different person. And we had wonderful, wonderful conversations, and we were able to forgive each other. I wouldn't take $1 million for those 3 months that we had. He checked himself out on a Friday night and didn't come back, and overdosed at 6 o'clock the next morning.
I should be dead a dozen times over. All I remember is them pulling the vent out, pulling the tube out of my throat and waking up, and I was like, where am I? And most people with their mother crying at their bed would be like, I'm done, right? Not me. My thought was, man, it's been a long time since I've had anything.
My mom passed away, and I went from opiates to meth, and her dying wish was just to see me sober. I still don't know to this day if it was because I was in active addiction that I wasn't able to be there for her at the hospital. But that's very devastating, and I carry that guilt all the time. And the day after I buried her, I had a pocket full of Xanaxes and a pocket full of dope, and I was shooting dope, and I was taking Xanaxes, and that's a very, very dangerous mixture. And I think that I was well on my way to an OD. I hit my rock bottom. I had nothing but the clothes on my back. I was living on the streets, and I got into drug court, and that program and the treatment from the Chickasaw Nation is what absolutely saved my life.
To prevent opioid abuse in your own home, I think it's important to make sure that you don't have old opioid medications just in your cabinet, because most adolescents get those kind of drugs from home or friends, and their friends are probably getting them from their parents' medicine cabinets. Safe disposal of medications, and then also storing them safely. So lots of organizations give out lock boxes. It's just an extra step to keep those safe, because if you don't, they could fall into the wrong hands. I went from this person that felt like I was a nobody to, believing in her own capabilities and thinking that, that I know my worth today.
Grief is a journey without an ultimate destination. You don't get over grief, you get along with grief. The people who are not stuck in their grief, where it's just almost immobilizes them, are people who ultimately have found a purpose. Some of them are like myself, who've experienced what we've experienced, and their purpose is to try to keep that from happening to other people.
So there's so many different roads to get sober. I think the first step is just taking the first step and just saying, I have a problem. After that, man, you're almost there. That's the hardest part, is just saying, I think I need help.
I have a relationship with my kids now. I'm slowly building a relationship with my family. I go to work at a treatment facility that I absolutely love. I enjoy life today. Like, I get up out of bed, I go, walking, I do things with friends. I'm not isolated. I'm not, I live a normal life today. And it's wonderful.